What's going on YouTube? It's calsoscoped. I'm back with another video. In today's video you're going to be seeing just my overview of making a football jersey swap. Not a tutorial per se, but definitely an overview that can help you guys out with a lot of things. But make sure you guys let me know in the comment section down below what you want to see specifically that can help you out in your designing to enter this new year. Alright guys, so the first thing that you're going to want to do when doing a football jersey swap, or usually any picture in general, is what I do is I make sure that I have a displacement map to start off. So go down to channel mixer and set your channel mixer to monochrome. Okay, as you guys see what I'm doing here, you're gonna make sure you set your channel mixer to monochrome, and also blur the top image or the main image. Just to set it off, I usually set my blur to about 1. Okay, and make sure you have a duplicate behind, that you have like a smart object, so that you don't just destructively create all over the original picture. Make sure you have a copy, and then you're just going to save it as a PSD and save it as a displacement. Just make sure you title it as displacement like the original one, so that you know what you're dealing with. Okay, so the second part of this is masking. So you want to make sure you have a player mask, right? So make sure that you set a layer that's going to be as your player mask. And what I usually try and do is use select subject. If I can't use select subject, I'll utilize either the pen tool or the magnetic lasso tool. In most cases the pen tool, but you guys can check on and off on your mask with Q. That's where you get that red background, so you guys can check if you're doing your masking right. And you guys see select subject isn't perfect, so you got to go in with the lasso tool and just get some of those areas out. Holding down Alt on the keyboard while using the lasso tool, or any tool that erases or takes away from the subject, will allow you to do so without adding. It's just the opposite. Alt is the opposite. So hold down Alt if you want to take away parts of the selection while you're dragging and making your selection. So you guys see here, I'm just making sure my mask is really clean. I want you guys to really make sure, especially going into this year, make sure everything is super clean that you're doing before you move on to the next step. And then I'm pressing the layer mask icon in the bottom right, and I'm making a duplicate copy so I can keep the background. So I'm just titling all my layers, titling that like the background. Then on top you guys see how it has the mask of Cole Beasley right there. So then I double click on the layer mask, and I'm using my feather tool because I'm going to get some of those hairs. I'm going to try and get some of those hairs like nice and smooth, so it's not like rough edges. So I'm just brushing on with my feather tool really lightly, and I don't usually have any statistics on the right side for my brush when I'm using this, but I do decontaminate the colors at the end. But just using your feather brush at the normal increments usually works for me, and I usually set my decontaminate to somewhere around 80 and set it to a new layer mask, just like that. Alright, then the final thing I do is I add a background behind my subject, just so I can start sectioning off everything and just getting a better view of just my subject that I'm going to be focusing on. So I usually use like a gray background, as you guys see right there, just so I can get everything clear and start to set it up to be able to have a cleaner workspace. Now here's another very important part of the jersey swap. You guys are going to see this in 2x speed now. I'm just masking out the numbers, and you want to just get out everything that's really in the way of doing the swap. Since the numbers aren't the same as the Steelers numbers, I have to get rid of these, and this is why we save displacement maps, because you guys are going to see I'm going to mask out this number and also just the other things that are really in the way of the swap that aren't going to be covered too easily with the assets that we're going to use. So I'm just masking those things out. I'm using the lasso tool here, and then I'm content aware filling, right? And once I content aware fill, I'm going to use my healing brush and my lasso tool, a mix of both, to just get all those rough edges out. See, I'm using that healing brush there. And once I'm done with this, I save another displacement map, and this is like the real displacement map, whatever you want to call it as real, because this is the one I really utilize, the one that gets everything out of the way. And so when I put the numbers on, it's really going to merge with the jersey when I use the displacement map. So I'm just setting this to monochrome and adjusting the sliders a little bit before I just save it as another displacement map, using Gaussian blur once again. But this is the real displacement map I'm going to really use. Alright, so now I'm getting to the color adjustments just after I save some displacement maps. But on this color adjustment, what you want to do is clip a channel mixer to just the subject, in general. And either you can make a mask or you can paint on the channel mixer. So you guys see I'm setting the channel mixer to monochrome. Then I'm just changing the attributes a little bit to make it a little bit darker. But this is actually where I kind of messed up, because I didn't really think this looked good with just channel mixer. And this section is kind of just to show you guys that a lot of jersey swaps can be trial and error, because not every swap is the same. But yeah, like I said, you're gonna usually use channel mixer almost all the time, but instead of using just channel mixer, I found out that I should use a linear light layer instead of just the channel mixer. So I kind of just didn't waste my time on this part of it, but I should have used linear light on top of it to make the black pop out, because it kind of just looks like really weird, like really gray and stuff. So this is just to show you guys just the process. I still had to mask out just around the jersey and get everything looking clean, because his hair and things like that, definitely you want to use your soft brush around there. So when you get around to those parts, bring the hardness of your brush down when you're painting on. So you see I'm just trying to be really intricate and really cautious there around the hair. So bring your brush hardness down. So it wasn't a waste of time, because I got the mask. So when I did use a linear light layer of like gray, a 50% gray, to make it black instead of just using only channel mixer on monochrome, it definitely helped it. But this set me up to have a nice layer mask to make that smooth transition / change. So this is where I really realized that, yeah, you should definitely not use just channel mixer, because in colors there's a lot of things that you have to keep an eye out for. And the Steelers, they have black jerseys, but there's a lot of blue tints from the lights that are just in the world, right? So you guys can just automatically see that blue that's actually in there. So at first I tried to just use curves that I already had on just the channel mixer black, but then I was like, all right, let's go back to the drawing board once I get these sleeves warped in here and just looking nice. And another thing is, to do the sleeves, I just used liquify. So I masked out the sleeves from the Ben Roethlisberger picture, and then I used liquify to get these sleeves in there looking clean, looking nice, right? And another thing that you need to just keep an eye out for is just perspective. So try to get pictures when you're doing jersey swaps that are in perspective, and if they're not in perspective and you can tweak them a little bit, that's okay. Try to do that, but for the most part you just want to try and get pictures that are in perspective, because I had to play around a lot on these sleeves, and it was kind of took a minute for me to just grasp it. Yeah, this doesn't look right, so let me get different sleeves that look definitely better than what I'm doing. So I ended up like taking the whole image of a sleeve, then just warping it on, instead of trying to just take the separate selection of just the yellow stripes in the yellow, black, and white stripes. I just took the whole sleeve, and I was able to do a better job of just merging that all together, matching up their colors using like selective color, channel mixer on some parts that will blend more into the jersey. It's all about just utilizing your eyes to see color, and also just knowing key things such as channel mixer. You can set it to strictly black and white. Look for colors that are in jerseys. Just like if you have a white jersey, there's always going to be some more like warm tones like red or oranges. Nothing is ever really white. Nothing's ever really just one color. There's so many colors that make up every color, especially when you're out and doing photography, not just digital art. You have to just notice that there's a lot more colors than just the one that you think is on the jersey, and this will definitely help you out when doing any type of designs, especially jersey swaps. It'll help you out tremendously, and just taking your time to get all these parts right. Like you guys see, I'm just really taking my time to make sure I'm matching these colors together, and you guys see I'm using channel mixer on top of the layers, just mixing up the blending modes all together. I can drop a blending mode and adjustments tutorial very soon to help you guys out with that furthermore, but this is just to give you guys a lot of insight on how I do my jersey swaps and how I just think about my art process in general for most of my designs. This is another important part right here. This is where I did the collar, and I pretty much just took a mask from Ben Roethlisberger. Then I'm using the warp tool. So if you guys don't know how to use the warp tool, you just press Control T, right click, and then you can go into the warp tool. Pretty basic tool in Photoshop, but you can do a lot with it. And then I'm just kind of following the same steps I used for the jersey. Once you have like a basis of what you're going to use, it's really easy to do a bunch of different assets on, because you can just literally go to the assets that you're using before, copy those and paste them on, and then add adjustments as you need. But then I'm just going in using the warp tool, and I'm setting, I can set different parameters and different points by holding down Alt. Once again, as we discussed before, holding down Alt, and you can pick different points that you want to warp the subject at that you're on, or the layer that you're on currently. So I'm just making sure everything's looking nice and clean, and I'm doing the neck right here, and I'm using channel mixer once again, and then I'm going to use a linear light layer that's solid filled over the top. And when you use a linear light layer like I use on the jersey and like I'm using here on the neck, when you use a linear light layer, everything's going to get very bright very fast. So you don't need to use the brightest tone. You can use like a darker tone and it's still gonna bring out a lot of color, a lot of saturation, a lot of value. You don't need to go overboard when using linear light or multiply. Multiply makes it darker. Linear light and linear dodge, those things would make something brighter. Since I had skipped to the part of the jersey, I'm coming back to show you guys how I did the pants. So how I did the pants is pretty much like anything else. You mask out the section of the pants, so make sure you take your time masking that out. And for the pants, I wanted to switch it up and use something different, so I used gradient maps actually, just to give you guys a look at gradient maps. So I make the selection and I put channel mixer on the top of it, put channel mixer on the selection, clip it to, and then I put these layers together and merge them, and then I'm naming my layer, and I'm taking, see how I'm taking a reference, right, putting a layer mask on, and I'm using my gradient map. So start it from black to white, and then you're gonna choose the colors of yellow, go from the darkest point of yellow to the brightest yellow, from the black to the white. See that in there? And then make adjustments as you need. You might want to add a levels on top or something, or curves on top or something. And yeah, just play around with that and you'll be fine. Now this kind of got a little pixely, so I did use a little bit of topaz denoise just to make a little bit of clarity on there. For the stripe, I just masked this out with the pen tool, and then I used liquify once I got it back onto the canvas that I was working on, to make sure that it fit the pants of Cole Beasley nice and smooth. So I kind of used the stripe as a reference before, so make sure when you guys are using liquify, just turn your show backdrop on so you can use that as a reference and make it easy on yourself to match the stripes that are on jerseys. So once you get the hang of doing all that, those steps that I talked about before, it pretty much just cycles through on and on again. So when you're doing things that you have to do for the swap, so like this face mask I just painted on with channel mixer, and then the helmet, sometimes you might have to change a helmet here and there, but I didn't have to change the helmet. I just used my clone stamp tool and constant aware fill to just mask things out on the helmet. Then I added a little bit of reflection. I will drop a reflection tutorial as well to show you guys how to just put easy reflections on helmets or whatever you want to do for your images in Photoshop or whatever you may have. But yeah, man, it's not that difficult once you really just follow the steps and learn the basics that you have to use. You will be swapping like a beast in no time. Just remember to utilize displacement maps, utilize your liquify tool and warp tools, play with your layer mask a lot, and yeah, let me know down below what you want to see specifically, because I do like doing these videos where I show you guys what to do, but I feel like full tutorials might not help as much, because I feel like if we start really breaking things down to separate videos, it's going to help a lot more, and that's just what I feel like. So definitely be sure to let me know what you guys want to learn in the comment section below, so I can get a full understanding of where you guys might be struggling or where you want to get better, as well as with me, let me know what I can get better at going forward. But until next time, man, it's been calsoscoped. I appreciate your guys' support. Let's turn it up this year, man. Let's turn it up and stay scoped, guys. I'm out. Thank you guys. Peace.